Hello, 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 everybody. Bill Murphy here from the Sports Insanity Network, and welcome to another edition of Murphy's View. Well, I got a fun one for you folks today. I've been meaning to do this for about a month, but as John Lennon once said, life is what happens when you're busy doing other things. So, about a month ago, I went to Vegas. I went with my family, and when we got to Vegas, me, my father, my brother, we went to the Notre Dame BYU game at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. And while I was there, I had this idea. I'm thinking, okay, I'm sitting there in the game and I'm thinking of comparing this to a lot of the NFL games I've been to. And I'm sitting there thinking, what's better? College football? What has a better game? Which game is more fun to attend? College football or the NFL? And talking about atmosphere and all that, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. But before I begin, I just want to make a little caveat here. As you all know, I'm a big Giants fan. And for college, I'm a Notre Dame fan. But I do follow NFL football more than I do college. But I just want to say, I am just going to be talking about this from the point of personal experience rather than which one I follow more. So, which I follow more is going to have no impact on this comparison. Okay. So first, I want to talk about the stadium. Okay. To be fair, this Notre Dame game that I went to was actually at a professional stadium. It was at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, where the Raiders play. So I don't really think it's fair to compare that. But I will say, if any of you guys are ever in Vegas and you have the chance to go to a game at Allegiant Stadium, please go. That stadium is absolutely gorgeous. It puts MetLife to shame. It's a beautiful stadium. If you go, please have a chance. Okay, I'm going to be mainly focusing on the Notre Dame BYU game, but I have gone to 2 West Point games over where I live, and that's at Mischke Stadium. And compared to and we're going to use that as our comparison for college football stadium. Since it is smaller than like other big colleges, I will say Mischke Stadium is very small and tends to be a little more intimate. And what I mean by that is they do get a good crowd at West Point. They get a very good crowd at West Point. But I think it's just maybe because, it's more like locals and families of the cadets and the players. So therefore, it's a smaller venue. Rather, if you go to like a big game like Notre Dame BYU, which is like, people from Notre Dame, people from BYU, and, not just people who went to the school, but also fans. So I think like that is comparing like the crowd size to like a West Point game to like a Notre Dame game. Now, jumping over to the NFL, like aside from Allegiant Stadium, the only NFL stadium I've been to stadiums I've been to are the old Giants Stadium and MetLife. And as I said, I'll be honest, MetLife's a dump. It's just not a good stadium. It just doesn't really have a lot of character. It really just doesn't have a lot of personality. I feel like it's just a shameless corporate stadium. that really does not have an identity. And, I think at times it could be nice, and there's good, and, I have never complained about where I sat when I went to a Giants game. I've never complained where I sat. I've always had a good view, so I will give MetLife credit on that. When it comes to Allegiant, like I said, it's just much nicer. It just feels more fan friendly. Like, I feel like food wise, well, I ate before I went to the game, so I didn't really partake in a lot of the food there, but the food looked good. Like a lot of stuff from probably like local restaurants. They had like a Mexican place, they had like a barbecue place. They had this burger that looked absolutely delicious called the Black Aioli burger, the Black Hole burger, which as you could probably tell is a Raiders thing. And, I was thinking of asking, my brother if he wanted to split one, but the line was too long and we weren't really that hungry. But the line was too long and we didn't want to miss any of the game while going back. But yeah, but the stadium just seems a lot more fan friendly, and getting in there was much, much easier. It was much easier. I was going from the stadium to my seat. It took me like 15 minutes. MetLife, it takes me like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. But yeah, the stadium is nicer. And jumping back into Mischke Stadium, it's a nice little stadium. If you don't want something too big, I would say it's a good place to go to, because that's really the only college stadium I've been to. But it's a smaller stadium, but I would absolutely give it a try. If you maybe have like young kids and you want to start introducing them to football, but you don't think you're ready to take them to like a big game in a big stadium yet, I would say something like a lower end college. And I don't think West Point is lower end in the slightest, but what I mean is that they play, teams that are sort of lesser known aside when they're home. So if you want something smaller, I would say Mischke Stadium is good. But yeah. Sorry if this is a bit of a cop-out that I've been all over the place, but like I said, that's pretty much been the only college stadium I've been to. It's not the only college game I've been to, but that's like the only college stadium I've been to, because the Notre Dame BYU game was at an NFL stadium. Okay, and I want to talk a lot here about the atmosphere of college games versus NFL games. When I went to, we'll start with NFL games. When I go to Giant games, and do not get me wrong, I have never, ever said no to if someone says, hey, I got Giant tickets for Sunday. Do you want to go? I had never said no to that. And unless it's something important I got to do that day, which is very rare. But yeah, no, honestly, I don't really go to a lot of Giant games a year. But, if someone has offered me tickets, I never decline. I will say that, even though I just spent the last couple minutes shitting on MetLife. I will say this. I do have fun when I go to Giant games. I have an absolute blast. But I will say the atmosphere of the games is kind of toned down a little more. And no, there are people who are cheering and going crazy during the game. But I feel like some of that energy sometimes is just artificial. And what do I mean by that is, like, when it's third down, when the opposing team's on third down at MetLife, and I'm speaking mainly as a Giants fan here because I have been to more, because the only NFL games I've been to are Giant games. I've been to one Jet game, but I've been to more Giant games. And what I mean is by artificial is like the people will sit there, but then when it's like third down, they'll have like Michael Strahan or some other player on the screen going, "Come on, New York, get loud." And the stadium goes, and the stadium gets loud, and they just get loud on command. And come on, you got to have a little energy during the game. You got to have a little energy during the game. But sometimes when the stadium goes, "Come on, New York, get loud," nobody really, there are times when people don't really get loud. Like, I always get loud. And I'm the one begging up to yelling, "Come on, let's get loud." And I noticed this, like, and I know this is sort of irrelevant, but I've noticed this at Yankee games too, when they're like, when they flash, make some noise, people don't make noise. Come on, people, make noise. Damn it, cheer for them. You're paying all this money. You want to see your team win, so you might as well get on your feet and go crazy. Don't waste that money. Go crazy during the game and get loud. Not only when Michael Strahan tells you to get loud, but get loud. Yeah, but that's what I feel. Sometimes I feel the energy is just artificial. I feel like the energy is just a little artificial. Like I said, I like some of the energy at the Giants game. I cheer, I've never sat in a bad section at a Giants game where fans who are just like sitting there and not getting into it. But I feel that this is it. I just feel sometimes the energy can be just very lackluster. Like, come on, we gotta cheer on our Big Blue here. Come on, we gotta cheer on Big Blue. We gotta cheer on Danny Dimes. We gotta cheer on Saquon. Come on. Okay. So that is okay. So the NFL. Now going on to college. I'm going to mainly be talking about the BYU Notre Dame game because that was the game I've mostly been to. Because that was the game I most recently been to. Like if I think of anything from Michigan, or West Point, I'll see where that goes. But the Notre Dame BYU game, the energy at that game was freaking electric. Like that stadium could power up the whole freaking strip of Vegas. The energy in that stadium. Hat tip to my fellow Notre Dame fans, and also a hat tip to you BYU fans. You guys, and I both of you guys just are just so passionate about your teams. And you guys just made for a very entertaining game. You guys just made for a very entertaining game. And thank you. And, first off, we got to talk about it. The bands, the marching bands, especially Notre Dame's famous marching band, when we had to hear when they were playing like all different type of stuff, especially, the famous alma mater, not the alma mater, the victory march, the da-na-na-na-na-na. But, and also they were playing some other great things too. They were playing like Edge of Glory by Lady Gaga. They played Mr. Brightside by the Killers. And they were also playing, and they also played Dropkick Murphys, I'm Shipping Up to Boston, which was absolutely just amazing. I do love Dropkick Murphys, I'll be honest. And the BYU band was pretty cool too, not as good as Notre Dame's, but they were pretty cool. They were playing stuff like Danger Zone from Top Gun. And like, listen, you got to give credit to these bands, to the directors of these bands. You got to give these guys credit. Like, it's not just a rah, rah, go, team, go. Like, they're playing pop music, they're playing rock music, they're playing stuff that'll really just get a stadium up and jumping. Like, and that takes a lot of talent and a lot of skill. And we don't give a lot of credit to the band directors at colleges for football games. We don't give them a lot of credit. And you know what? Here's the credit they deserved. Well done, guys. Well done. So, and also with the bands, like at the end of the third quarter, this was actually pretty cool. They had their phones out, and they do like this end of third quarter light show, which was really, really cool. And at first they were playing a little bit of the Tchaikovsky 1812 over to the da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum dum dum. And I think it's a substitute for the old of what they used to do when that was playing. They used to make their fingers like this and go W. And I thought that was cool. I think it's just a really great way. It's a more interactive way to get the fans involved in the game. And speaking of the fans, where I was sitting, overall, the whole stadium, I would say was about 60% Notre Dame, 40% BYU. But where I was sitting, I would say it was about 80% BYU. And at first, I gotta say, those BYU fans, they got into it. They really got into it. Like, for a lot of the game, they were calm. But then when those time in the fourth, when the game was getting competitive, and those BYU fans, roar, roar, Cougars, roar, go, go, BYU. I think that's how the chant went, but I'm not sure. I can't remember it off the top of my head. If anyone from BYU is watching, please tell me if I got it right. But, even though I was rooting against these people, I got to give them so much credit that they're just really into it. Like, a lot of the Notre Dame fans, too, like, where I was sitting, they were a little more quiet. But down in the student section, they were going nuts. And I remember, like, there was this time when Notre Dame was when BYU was like going down the field, and like the whole stadium, let's go Cougars. And the fans were just like, during that whole game, they're going up, they're going crazy. And then when those hopes were ruined, then those let's go Cougars chants went into let's go Irish. Let's go Irish. And Notre Dame ended up winning the game 28-20. And it's just, from what I've noticed, I feel like in a way, college football is more interactive. I feel like college football is more interactive than NFL football. The energy, the bands, like I just said, it's more fan usable. Like, it's just more fan serviceable. And that's how I feel. Like, I gotta admit, I had more fun at this game than I did at a lot of the Giant games I went to. And again, I love going to Giant games. Do not get me wrong. Again, if anyone offers me Giant tickets, I'm taking them. But you know what? I feel like it was just a different type of football to go to. It was a different type of football to go to. I feel like the crowd was more into it. And I feel like it was just a fun game. It was just fun to watch. And not just to watch it, even if you're really not into football, you could admire, like I said, the bands, the energy of the crowd. There's a lot of things you can admire, even if you're not really that into football. And I feel like comparing going to a college game, going to an NFL game is like comparing going to a minor league baseball game versus going to a major league baseball game. Like if you go to a minor league game, they have things for the kids in between innings. Like even if you're not really into baseball, you'll still be entertained. Well, if you go to like a major league game, you really have to be into baseball. That's like the same for the NFL. You really need to be into NFL football. But that's more of a general statement. I've heard people who weren't really into baseball, football, and they've been to a MLB or an NFL game and they still had a good time. But overall, I'm going to say, and again, this makes the impact of what I go through, the impact of who I root for more has no input on this. So, but I will say I had a lot of fun at this Notre Dame BYU game than I've had at a lot of the Giant games I went to. And like I said, that has not changed. I'm still a bigger NFL fan than I am a college football fan, but I will watch college football and I will watch Notre Dame. But you know what? I think why the fans going crazy is a bigger thing, and my brother said it perfectly, because a lot of those diehard college football fans maybe don't follow the NFL, or maybe they don't live in an area or a state where there is an NFL team, and maybe that's their big sport. And I can agree with that. Like whether you're and like, listen, this was just my personal input. I want to hear from you people. Have you been to college games? Have you been to NFL games? Do you like college better? Do you like NFL better? Or going to games? Like, which one do you like better? And you know what? Everything is subjective. If you like going to college football games better, awesome, you have that. If you like going to NFL games better, awesome, you have that. There is no wrong answer on what you enjoy more. There's no wrong answer. And whatever you prefer, I hope you just enjoy the hell out of it. Because that's what life and sports is about. Having a good time and having fun. Whether it be like I said, whether it be going to a college game or whether it be going to an NFL game, it's all about just having fun. If you like what you see here, why wouldn't you? Because this content is amazing. Go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check out all our blogs, our podcast, our bios. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, I'm Bill Murphy from the Sports Insanity Network. Stay safe and take care.